Welcome, writers, and thank you for joining me for Writers Workshop. Today is Wednesday, November 11th, 2020. The materials you are going to need for today's lesson are your pencil, your writing journal, your editing page, which is the Writer's Notebook page 4.9, that will be linked into the framework and also into Google Classroom for you, and your draft. If you don't have these items, go ahead and pause the video and collect them now, then come back to press play. Okay, now that you have all your supplies, let's go over today's objectives. I will explain peer proofreading and publishing. We will recognize how to proofread and publish our final letters, and then you will proofread and publish your final copy of your formal letter. Take a look at this anchor chart that is the editing checklist. When we write, we capitalize the first word of a sentence. Proper nouns, the pronoun I, historical periods, events, or documents, titles of books, stories, and essays. And we also capitalize languages and nationalities. We also want to make sure we're punctuating correctly. We use periods at the ends of statements or commands. We also use commas to create a pause or join compound sentences. We use question marks at the end of questions. Quotation marks show that someone is speaking. You probably won't be using these during your formal letters. And then we use exclamation points to show emotion or excitement. We want to make sure that we're spelling correctly. If you are having trouble with a word, you could always use a dictionary to check the spelling and the meaning of that word. You will use clocking to double check your sentence structure, proper use of capital letters, and punctuation today. You will be using this Writer's Notebook, page 4.9. You could either use a partner to use as your editor, or you can check your own work yourself while using this editing worksheet. You will go over your letter today, checking, is there a name on your paper? Okay. Are there any sentence fragments? Are there any run-on sentences? Do all your sentences start with a capital letter? Do all the sentences have correct subject-verb agreement? Do all your sentences have proper punctuation? Are words spelled correctly? Did the salutation and the closing use proper punctuation? Remember those codes that you used yesterday to mark your paper and color code it. These will help you while you're using this editing worksheet and help you to edit your paper and proofread your paper. I want you to take some time now to look over your letter 3 times. As you are reading it, go down the proofreading list and check off the items that you have. If there's any items on the checklist that are missing, go ahead and make revisions to your letter to include what's needed. Pause the video, then come back when you've finished going over your checklist and revising your paper. Okay, I hope that you got those revisions done correctly and that you're ready to publish your paper, because that's what we'll be doing next. I want you to think about some of the additional ideas for publishing your work, okay? So your publishing options are, you can publish your letter by sending it to one or more of the following: a museum or historical society that has information about the Santa Fe Trail and or specializes in the 19th century travel, and or has information about the California Gold Rush, because remember, what you're writing about is during that time. You could publish your letter to a historian who specializes in mid-century travel, or the Santa Fe Trail travel, or both, or the California Gold Rush. You could even publish your letter to Ginger Wadsworth or other authors who published on Wagon Train Adventures. I want you to think about some additional ideas for publishing your work. If you don't want to send out your letter, what is an appropriate alternative? If you think of one, go ahead and write down your choice in your writing notebook. Even if you do not choose to send your letters to a real person even if you did not choose to send your letters to a real person in an earlier lesson, you're going to have the opportunity to change your mind and send your letters to one or more people. Or you can send your letter to a fictional person. I decided to write my letter for practice and not actually send it. But now as I reread my letter, I'm really very curious to get the answers to my questions. I worked hard on this letter and I want to send it out. To do this, I go online and I research museums and historical societies that specialize in the 1850s and westward travel during that time. If I find 2 or 3 choices, I might send my letter to all 3 of them. However you choose to publish your letter, you could always send it to me and I can help you send the finalized letter. You will now type up and publish your final copy of your letter. You've made your corrections in your proofreading and your editing. Now you're going to type up and publish your final copy of your letter. Prepare the final copy by typing out your draft and using all of the revising and editing that you've done. Remember to type your final letter using proper structure and grammar that we've been working on. When you're finished typing your final copy, upload this copy to your teacher through Google Classroom. Thank you and have a great day.